talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the HR Insights Hour, presented by the Society for Human Resource Management, San Diego.
Hello, this is Nina Woodard, your host, and my guest today is coming to our show today from the East Coast. So welcome to Andrew Morton. How are you, Andrew?
Nina, I'm great. Thank you very much. I apologize for a little bit of the background noise here. Doing the best that I can.
It's okay. You made it. We're glad to have you. So let me just do a brief introduction of Andrew. Andrew is with Society for Human Resource Management, and he's the Director of Social Engagement. But Andrew is also a veteran and involved in a very significant program with SHRM on behalf of veterans and helping veterans transition from military into civilian employment and civilian life. So welcome, Andrew, and thank you on today of all days for taking time to be with us as we celebrate this Veterans Day weekend.
Well, I really do appreciate that. I mean, in my time with SHRM over the last 3 years, I've been nothing but inspired by all the work that human resources folks from across the country do for veterans. So in a manner of speaking, I almost feel like I want to just offer the thank you directly back to you and everybody else in the HR community.
I really appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about your background. You have a very interesting background that brought you to where you are with SHRM today. So share a little bit with us, will you?
Sure. And, my mom used to say interesting backgrounds are normally a byproduct of a lot of failureship along the way. But my background comes from a combination of growing up within a family that really, really focused on cultural awareness and getting out there and experiencing life and being a part of things bigger and different than yourself. And really kind of was fostered by my grandmother, who traveled all over the world. And my mom and my father really encouraged that spirit of exploration and visiting things. And so after I graduated from college, I really decided that an opportunity to join the military would provide me exactly that, an option to see parts of the world that I hadn't seen before, to experience cultures I hadn't experienced before, to be a part of an organization bigger than myself, to serve something bigger than myself, and to really kind of inject myself into what I call our uncomfort zone. When we feel comfortable in what we're doing in life, when we feel like we're doing things the way that we normally do them, I think we kind of fall into a pattern. And the military and travel and being a part of cultures different than me has always given me an opportunity to always remind myself that you need to not necessarily feel completely comfortable in your environment. You need to expand your horizons and appreciate things different than what you may be used to.
That's an amazing story. I'm listening. I do books on tape because I'm in the car a lot, traveling back and forth. And I've read this and listened to this book now 3 or 4 times, but I just decided to listen to it again. And it's a book called The Alchemist. And it just strikes me as I was listening to you talk about how much your life reflects some of the philosophy that's shared in The Alchemist about appreciating your environment and really getting in touch with what's happening in your experience and what you're experiencing in wherever you happen to be at the moment. When you shared with me the title for the program, you suggested that we call it From We Will to At Will, and that you wanted to share your personal and professional journey from military service to SHRM. So let's do that a little bit. How did you actually make that transition, and how did you come up with that great title? Because I also read your blog that is entitled the same, We Will to At Will. How did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, so, everything in life is a journey. And, when I transitioned from the military back in 2012, I'll be honest with you, the decision to join the military was inherently easier than the challenge that I faced in determining it was time to depart the military for a myriad of different opportunities and reasons, really. But as much as we've come and advanced from the Department of Defense's perspective in preparing soldiers and, frankly, service members from across all services for that transition back into kind of like their civilian self, regardless of whether or not they've been in the military for 4 years or 24 years. It's a hard change culturally, from a mindset perspective, and then of course from the tangible skill set. So when I was in the process of trying to determine what my next option and opportunity was, in many ways I think I was basing it on false assumptions and perceptions that I had about different opportunities, and not necessarily taking a moment and sitting down and really figuring out where I was in my life, what I was not only capable of doing, but what I was willing to do. I had an amazing human resources person. After my first job, after military service, 2 years in the advertising world, I had an incredibly valuable experience. I learned a ton. I was a part of an organization that really worked hard, and I certainly don't regret any moment of it. But about halfway through that, I realized that it just wasn't the right fit for me. And then what I even realized more so than that was that I had not really sat down and actually articulated to myself what it was that I wanted to do after the military. I was so wrapped up in this rat race, if you will, figuring out where my next opportunity would be and basing it on an artificial timeline. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way in trying to determine what next would be. And truthfully, as I transitioned from that particular opportunity, it was a combination of not only frustration on my part, but relief, because I realized that I was moving to something different. And it was amazing, again, because it's how coincidental this is. The human resources person, and she called herself the HR whisperer, true story. I had all these resume versions built. I had all these job opportunities built. This is 2 years after I'd transitioned. This was my second attempt at finding my what's next. And I pushed all those things across the table from her as we were meeting there for coffee one afternoon. And she pushed it all out of the way, and she pushed a blank piece of paper and a pencil in front of me. And she said, "Don't tell me what you think you're capable of doing. Don't try to translate your skill set. Tell me what you want to do, what you're willing to do, what your family circumstances, what your personal circumstances will afford you the willingness to do." And until I had done that, I hadn't really identified that right opportunity for me. And I put all those things together, and coincidences again. SHRM was advertising for a communications position. She obviously was familiar with SHRM, so she was wholeheartedly recommending that as an opportunity. And lo and behold, 3 years later, here I am.
Well, I don't know her, but I really respect her. And even the name that she called herself, the HR Whisperer, kind of tells the whole story about her attitude toward her work, and certainly the way that she approached you, again, tells a great deal about the insights that this HR professional and the value that she adds wherever she happens to be landing. So thank you so much for sharing that story with us. And I hope the listeners in the HR community out there understand the significant impact that we can have when we take time to listen to and be a part of the solution and the pathway and the journey, rather than trying to force it in one way or another. You mentioned a little bit about some of the challenges, and you also talked about skill and mindset. Do you think it's more skill, or is it more culture and mindset as the biggest issues when you start to transition?
I think in the different phases of transition, I think each of them present their own unique challenges, opportunities. The skill set equation, obviously, you have to be able to translate on a piece of paper, a resume. Until we replace the CV and the resume as a conduit of employment, we're still going to have a resume that describes what it is that we're capable of and qualified to do. That's just the reality of the job market. There's no way around that. So, yes, we have to be able to articulate our skill set. And certainly in many cases, transitioning from the military, it's a unique fact. I don't know if many of your listeners know, but more than 70% of folks in the military do not want to do the thing they did in the military in their what's next. So many cases, some of those tangible skills are going to be lacking relative to the job market. Of course, there are those softer skills and those leadership attributes and the other things that I know employers fully appreciate from the military market. But it's difficult sometimes in trying to get resume translators, really to identify what your tangible skill sets are. So I don't devalue that part of the equation, but I think it's important to remember, and I use this anecdote. So when I was in the military, one of the things I had to do to show my proficiency as an infantry officer was to assemble and disassemble a weapon. Now, I haven't touched a weapon since the time I left in the military, and I probably couldn't do that to save my life. But if given the right direction, if given the opportunity, and more importantly, if I had the motivation to do it for a greater good, I would do it, and I would learn it, and I would learn it quickly. And I say that because I think almost any skill set can be overcome if the right culture and mindset is a part of the equation. If the individual understands the value, the object of the organization, they can overcome just about any skill set. Now, apprenticeships, externships, other forms of training, like, for example, coding boot camp that LinkedIn gives military personnel as they try to diversify LinkedIn's workforce. They're bringing in military personnel with no coding background whatsoever, putting them to a 12-month boot camp simply because of the fact they identified the value of that cultural diversity.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Andrew. And you are listening to WSRadio.com, the world leader in Internet talk. And this is Nina Woodard, your host, and Andrew and I will be right back.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
I've been bragging about Progressive Medical Center to you guys for years, and I'm so excited to have Dr. Agoli with us because, Dr. Agoli, a lot of people walk through your doors, and some of their biggest problems are they're just fatigued, they're tired all the time, and even though they're dieting and exercising, they cannot get the weight off. Why is that?
It's a combination of poor metabolism, inappropriate eating, but more importantly, it's due to a lack of education and really doing the right testing. A lot of our patients are metabolically compromised. What does that mean? Their metabolism is not functioning. The metabolism is responsible for all physical and chemical processes necessary to sustain life, and that includes energy. And without cellular energy, your body is not going to be a burning machine. Let's get back and teach our listeners to be a fat-burning machine.
It's been a lot easier to maintain my weight since Progressive Medical Center started treating me with all-natural supplements, learning proper nutrition, and that can be you today. No more frustrations about being tired or overweight. So why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today through ProgressiveMedicalCenter.com.
This is your life, live it well.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Welcome back to the HR Insights Hour presented by the Society for Human Resource Management, San Diego.
And this is Nina Woodard, your host, with my guest today, Mr. Andrew Morton, who is the Director of Social Social Engagement at Society for Human Resource Management. Welcome back, Andrew.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Our show today is entitled We Will to At Will, My Personal and Professional Journey from Military Service to SHRM. And it's very fitting that on this celebration of Veterans Day weekend that we are able to have this conversation with you who are a vet and who are also working very diligently in Society for Human Resource Management's policies and practices that help support our veteran community as they transition. If you would share with us just a little bit, Andrew, about the SHRM and SHRM Foundation Veterans Employment Retention Initiative, and tell us how that works.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think for many of your listeners, particularly, and I know you know this from what you do in the greater San Diego area and what you've done across your entire span of volunteer work within SHRM, and it's true for all the other chapters out there across the country. SHRM members have always done an amazing job in supporting veterans initiatives in the communities from where they're from. They're incredibly altruistic and incredibly giving in all their efforts. One of the things that our foundation has adopted in their research and their actionable plan over the next few years is to really help veterans integrate and be engaged in the workforce. And I think one of the challenges that they've identified early on through a collaborative process with many stakeholders is that retention, while unemployment rates are down across the board with the exception of a few demographics which are still need to be addressed, it's really the retention challenge that many employers face, many veterans face. 65% of veterans are departing their organizations at their first job after their military service within those first 2 years. And that's much higher than the rate of their cohort of civilian employees or those who did not come from the military. And there's probably a number of reasons for that, but we have to identify and really help create an actionable understanding so that human resources personnel can really help their organizations go from veteran-friendly to veteran-ready. So that's one part of the initiative. The other part of the initiative is to help and foster opportunities for those who have served in the HR capacity in the military to continue to serve in the HR profession after their time in service. And it's not only, by the way, those who did HR in the military that are a good fit for HR in the private sector in their civilian capacity. It's also great for those who weren't in human resources in the military. Taking care of people is what HR does by the very heart of their mission. And I will tell you, I know a lot of human resources people who are veterans who did no HR in their time during military service. And what they find is that same sense of reward, that same mission fulfillment within their organizations practicing human resources that they did in practicing in the military service. So that's part two, is to really help foster those opportunities for folks to continue to serve in human resources after their time in service. And then the last one is really a part of the longstanding tradition of SHRM members and SHRM chapters helping in local communities, and that is to foster and continue to promote those opportunities for SHRM members to make an impact in their local communities in support of veterans initiatives.
So can you share who some of the partners are with you in the employment space, with you and the chapters across the country as well?
Well, absolutely. I think, one of the partners that we're partnering with this very weekend is an organization called Psych Armor. Now, it's abbreviation for psychological armor, which is the armor that individuals during their time, it was started by a woman, Marjorie, who founded SHRM under the pretense of helping Marines prepare for combat and going into combat ultimately to give them resiliency training before they deployed. Obviously, we know a lot of what happens during your time in combat, and when you return from combat, there are challenges post-deployment as well. But Marjorie's organization was originally created to help prepare service members for that. But what she found and what she realized was there's actually a need for psychological armor as you move into the private sector after your time in service. So Marjorie has created a lot of content around it, not only for veterans to prepare them, but also to educate and empower human resources personnel and organizations themselves, employers, to better understand veterans and the things that they'll bring to the workforce, but also have a better understanding of who veterans are as they come to them as a cohort of employees. So we're going to be working with organizations like SHRM to really promote content that will help empower and educate HR professionals, our SHRM members, as well as ultimately prepare veterans themselves for that transition.
That sounds like an amazing gift and an amazing opportunity for individuals to be able to connect and learn more and be more engaged. And as you mentioned, I think there's a difference between being veteran-friendly and veteran-ready. And that's a huge distinction. One of the things that I've experienced in the work that I've done with the veterans here is the external workplace, the business industry workplace is very confounding for them, because in the military you can tell who's the authority in the room by the stripes on their shoulders, right? But in the workplace, there's really no way to immediately know who you're looking at or who you're talking to. And that is confounding for many military as they're entering the workplace to try to figure out who's in what roles, right? And then there's no structure like the military presents. And I know that when you're deployed, it's completely the VUCA world, and everything is, happening very quickly. It's uncertain and complex and very ambiguous. But there still is a structure that you can count on. And in the workplace, VUCA is just VUCA. and it's just made more complex by the lack of that definitive discipline, I guess, around roles and responsibilities. So I completely empathize with the need to help veterans really figure out how the players all fit together and what parts are there. And again, my experience with corporate culture is there's so much that's unwritten. So many of the rules are assumed and not really written down anywhere. So it's very difficult unless you really take time and effort and energy to share insights to help someone get fully up to speed about the culture of a particular organization. So congratulations on this great program and SHRM's partnering with SHRM. What are the roles of chapters and SHRM members in these local community activities that take place with SHRM?
Well, I think, honestly, I would probably, you'd be better able to answer that question than I would, because of the amount of experience that you've had doing so many initiatives, not only there in San Diego, but across the whole SHRM network. I'd say the role continues to be what we used to call, or what I would call in my military days, to be a combat multiplier. And what I mean by that is, you can put one human resources person in front of a number of veterans, and you can get all those veterans up to speed on a resume, and that's extremely important, and I don't discount that, and that's much appreciated. But what's really powerful is when you get a group of human resources professionals who are educated and understanding of the veteran themselves, who can then go out into these organizations and really empower these organizations to help appreciate and accommodate those veterans. I say that the veteran's responsibility, for the most part, is to adapt and to articulate. They have to adapt to the private sector and the ways of, listen, I didn't have a copay when I was paying for my medical insurance on active duty, but I have a copay now, and I have to get over it, and I have to be like everybody else. That's part of the adaptation. And you also have to be able to articulate not just what you can do, but what you're willing to do. And I think for the HR professionals, both as part of SHRM's chapters, as part of their day jobs and all the industries they work across, it's really to appreciate and accommodate. And when I say appreciate, I don't mean gratitude, because the gratitude is just overwhelmingly wonderful and amazing, and it's been that way for so long, and we as veterans so much appreciate that. But what I mean by appreciate is understand, is let's not base assumptions on myths or misperceptions. That's true for the veteran too. I don't want to presume things about the corporate culture that aren't true. I don't want to think pejorative things that aren't true about the work ethic in the corporate culture. Because to be honest with you, in my time in corporate culture, I've seen as many hardworking and selfless, sacrificing people as I saw in uniform. So I had to defy my own myth there and understand and appreciate that the military doesn't have a cornerstone on the word service. And in the other respect, believe it or not, many HR professionals and organizations, in some flat organizations, will assume a military veteran will come in there needing a hierarchical structure or needing a specific set of rules, when in reality, in this asymmetric world that we've been in over the last decade and a half, military veterans, all they really need is an objective and autonomy. And ultimately, they can accomplish amazing things. And I actually like working in a very flat organization where everybody is almost egalitarian in what we do, because it gives me a sense of camaraderie, something that I miss from my time in the military.
I really appreciate you sharing those insights from your personal perspective and also from your perspective in the work that you've been doing. And you actually have identified the place that I think is a sweet spot for chapters, which is connecting with what's going on in their community. Again, thank you, Andrew, and you're listening to WSRadio.com, the world leader in Internet talk, and Andrew and I will be right back.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What?, Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.
Welcome back to the HR Insights Hour presented by the Society for Human Resource Management, San Diego.
And this is Nina Woodard, your host, and my guest today is Mr. Andrew Morton. And Andrew is a veteran, so again, thank you for your service, Andrew. But he is also the Director of Social Engagement for Society for Human Resource Management. And we have been discussing today the role that SHRM is playing in helping veterans transition. And Andrew's been sharing the story of the journey of his transition, for which we thank you very much, Andrew. And it's been a very interesting journey for you. And I really appreciate your vulnerability and willingness to share that story with our audience today.
Well, I learned a lot from my mom, and she used to say that vulnerability and weakness are not synonyms; they're actually antonyms.
And I agree with you. And your mom, she was very wise. What's on SHRM's horizon now with membership, leadership, upcoming programming opportunities? What are those kinds of things that that you think are available for our SHRM listening world, or even other HR professionals who may not now be a part of SHRM but might be interested in becoming a part because of this focus?
Well, absolutely. I mean, beyond the veterans things that we discussed and helping try to identify methods and ways to hire veterans as a part of a diverse community. SHRM continues to, in my mind, to really be that go-to resource of content to help HR practitioners across all disciplines, really, across compensation and benefits, talent acquisition. We're very excited to have our talent conference coming up in April in Las Vegas. Of course, the annual conference is coming up in Chicago. As you know, Nina, we have a change in leadership. Hank Jackson is coming to the close of his tenureship here at SHRM. He's been an amazing CEO for the organization, and he'll be turning over the reins to Johnny Taylor, who's very familiar to maybe some of your listeners because he was our former board chair. And Johnny's coming from the Thurgood Marshall Fund, and extremely excited to be coming back and to really being a part of our nearly 300,000 member strong organization, and really taking part in the direction that human resources continues to head. I mean, again, you'd be better suited to explain to all of our listeners the path that human resources has gone over in the past few decades, and really the role and the part that human resources professionals play in shaping their organizations. And, SHRM's going to continue to be a big part of that. And I think the number one reason why, above and beyond the content, above and beyond the direction, the certification, the competencies, and all those things, it's because of the membership. It's because of the opportunities, the brick-and-mortar chapters, the membership, the networking that exists between an incredibly cohesive group of professionals.
I know in my roles in California and in other areas too, but focusing on California because I've been here now for the last almost 10 years. How time flies when you're having fun. But even at the state level, we have for some time had available on our state website information for employers about how to tap into the veteran community and some of the tools that they can use to help themselves become veteran friendly, and pulling that and go beyond to being veteran ready as well. And pulling that information together, one of the one of the challenges was that it was in so many different spots. There's so much information out there. And I know this was one of the things I think, and I think SHRM still does have this relationship with Easter Seals, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Dixon Foundation.
Right,
yes.
The Dixon Foundation. And that they're a part of that information and resource unwinding, if you will, and trying to identify where these resources lay. One of the founding principles for one of the groups that I'm very involved with, which is the Veterans Association of North County, and their program called Veteran Leadership or Veteran Integration, it's focused really on taking the employment scenario to the employment readiness scenario to the next level for veterans, with a lot of individual coaching. And as you mentioned earlier, going beyond just the resume writing, but helping them actually get in touch with what they really want to do, much like your HR Whisperer did with you, but in small groups, and helping them really evaluate and identify the things that are important to them in a job, using behavioral anchors and those kinds of things. So for the chapters, one of the things that I think is an important element of contribution is to try to identify what all the resources are, and maybe help, single point or single point of service kind of information share with the veteran community what some of these things are, because it's very hard for them to find all of those resources out there, I would think. Have you heard anything about that in your work and the work that you're doing?
Well, I mean, you are identifying one of the key challenges, and by the way, it's not a SHRM or a human resources issue. It's a broader challenge. Listen, the Veterans Administration, the Department of Labor, the Chamber of Commerce, and other even government organizations are all trying to provide resources and create opportunities for veterans. And even amongst themselves, it's difficult to figure out what's the go-to resource. Meaning, if you were to ask me right now which government website is the best one to go to find a ready-made pool of veteran resumes, right now that is even not necessarily a question I could answer in an uncomplicated way, because the Department of Labor and the Chamber and the Veterans Administration are all kind of arguing, if you will, about whose responsibility it is. So resources and the consolidation of resources is a big challenge. I can't tell you how many HR people I've had come up to me, or just people who want to hire in general come up to me and say, where can I find all these resources in one location? And of course, from the veterans' perspective, where do they go to better prepare themselves as they transition, or as in my case, as they retransition all over again as they try to find that better fit job. It's a challenge. I think the foundation right now, our SHRM Foundation, is working to consolidate resources, some of which is, honestly, it's not complex as much as it is just, it's an overwhelming job, and to put all these things together in one place so that a veteran can say, where do I go? Where's the best place I go to translate my resume? So that the HR practitioner can say, where's the best place I can go to better understand how to onboard a veteran who may have specific needs, whether they're disabled or not. So I wish I could give you a straightforward go to www.this.com. But what I can tell you, Nina, is it's something that I certainly hope to be a part of helping not only SHRM achieve, but the broader civilian community.
Well, and again, and thank you for that, and thank you for confirming what I feel is one of the really significant issues. And as I mentioned, there are individual organizations like the Veterans Association of North County that really tried to be founded on the principle of being a one-stop shop, sort of like the career centers are for people who are unemployed, for veterans, with, bringing all the resources in. But when you begin to count them and identify them, I mean, you would need a football field to be able to house all the resources that are available. And then you have to identify what their areas of specialty are. And some are better at certain things than others are. So it's a very interesting time right now, but again, a very important function that's taking place with so many people involved in the process. And there is an opportunity, I think, for SHRM chapters across the country to kind of, in their community, identify some of the best resources to make them available for their membership, but also to help the veterans be able to identify the best place for them to spend their time and effort and energy.
Absolutely.
You invited me to participate with SHRM in this weekend's event that's being sponsored by SHRM, or who we're partnering with SHRM. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I can certainly tell you more about it. One of the most important things about it is that it is a partnership. There are a couple other organizations. Of course, Starbucks has been an amazingly powerful veteran hiring partner for a number of years now. And so at 10 cities across the country, one of which is San Diego, where you'll be participating alongside a few veterans, it's really about the title of it is 15 Things a Veteran Would Want You to Know. And the video itself, and you could Google 15 Things a Veteran Wants You to Know, any of the listeners out there. It's totally free content, sponsored by SHRM, as I mentioned before. And it kind of lays down the questions, even if you weren't an HR practitioner, even if you were just somebody who wanted to have a dialogue with somebody who's a veteran, whether they've been combat deployed or whether they're a Marine or an Air Force, or a sailor or an Army soldier like myself. Just basic things that, in general, veterans would want you to know about their time in service or about who they are as individuals. Now, of course, every veteran is different. We're not stereotypically one big person per se, but in general, that type of content, I think, really helps break down myths and barriers and to create a dialogue because, Nina, I don't mean to belittle the comparison here, but it's not unlike dating. In order to truly have a fruitful relationship, you need to understand each other. You need to understand how each other ticks. You need to appreciate how each other fit together in many ways. And I think this weekend is a part of that.
I think you're absolutely right. And again, thank you so much, Andrew. You are listening to WSRadio.com, the world leader in Internet talk.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on VinVillage Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Securing Our eCity Foundation is a nonprofit organization focused on cybersecurity awareness and education. Formed in 2011, their mission is to enable every San Diegan to live, work, and play safely in the cyber world. For more information, visit securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org, 619-630-2444. securingourecity.org.
Too much to do? Not enough time to get it done? Call on the experts at Another 8 Hours for your business support needs. By partnering with Another 8 Hours, we allow you to focus on the more important matters, like being in front of your clients, doing what you do best, rather than being stuck at a desk poring over paperwork, rummaging through emails, returning phone calls, and struggling to get everything done by yourself. Meanwhile, your family and social life are going down the drain. Go to another8hours.com or call 8 More Hours. That's 866-734-6877.
Welcome back to the HR Insights Hour presented by the Society for Human Resource Management, San Diego.
And this is your host, Nina Woodard, welcoming back my guest today, Mr. Andrew Morton, who's the Director of Social Engagement for Society for Human Resource Management and who's also very involved in the organization's veterans initiatives. Andrew, we've really covered the waterfront on many subjects related to helping our veterans integrate back into civilian life. Once they return home and find the right opportunity and position for them to be able to continue being self-reliant and making money and supporting themselves and their families. One of the things we haven't touched on yet is the myths and some of the issues that surround PTSD and the possibility of that coming with a veteran back into the workplace. Can you help us address maybe some of the concerns that our listeners might be experiencing?
Absolutely, and I know on both ends of the spectrum, there may be some broader misperceptions about percentages of service members who may be facing the challenge of PTSD, or then on the other end of the spectrum is what can an employer do to help them get support and the help that they need. I will tell you from a statistical perspective, about 20 to 25% of service members who have served in combat over the last 15 years are returning home with some form of behavioral health challenge, specifically PTSD. Having said that, I happen to be one of those service members who faced that and continues to face that challenge himself. But at the same time, with the right amount of help and with the right amount of support, with family in particular, I've been able to normalize that and deal with that and embrace that, if you will, as a part of my everyday life. And it hasn't inhibited me in my work performance. Now, I know the dirty secret sometimes is that service members are not necessarily willing to self-report, or organizations may have a specific perception about mental health challenges and how that veteran with that mental health challenge may upset the culture of their organization. And I appreciate all these different concerns, and I really think what it takes is a dialogue. And so I'm very open about my challenges with PTSD and with depression. And I will tell you that I never turned down an opportunity to discuss it candidly. When I was in Iraq, Nina, my eldest son was 3 years old, and he used to say, "I want my daddy back," at the end of videos that his mom would share with me at the time. And I always remember that. "I want my daddy back. I want my daddy back." Well, when I got home in 2007, about 3 or 4 months into it, I was a mess, and I wasn't reaching out for the help that I needed, and I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do to help me level set myself and really move forward. And I remember to this day driving my son to daycare one morning, and he looked in the rearview mirror at me, as kids are apt to do, from the back seat of the car, and he said, "I want my justice practitioner, and you're either hiring, onboarding, or retaining a service member." I would be open with them about anything that they wanted to share relative to their experiences. And I do understand there are laws and legal things you can and can't ask or what have you. But I would always encourage them, and I would make myself aware of the resources that are out there for service members. don't assume necessarily that they're stricken with PTSD or they're facing the challenge of PTSD, but also never underestimate the level of appreciation that they will have for you if in a meaningful way you try to help them get the support that they need. Because I know, frankly, the toughest year of my life was not the year in Iraq. It was not the injuries that I sustained in combat. The toughest year of my life was coming back home again and trying to reintegrate and trying to figure out what my purpose was and to deal with the survivor's guilt and all the other challenges that I faced. And in order to be me, in order to give my son his daddy back, I needed help. And I will tell you, human resources people are the ones, in many cases, who are going to help service members get the help they need.
Again, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your personal journey. I think that helps HR people as well as other listeners to do two things. One, to see how they can maybe be more aware of their surroundings and help people in those surroundings by paying attention to any signals that they may see that PTSD could be an issue. And the second one, to seek the kinds of support and help that might be necessary for the individual or for the individual themselves. Sadly, one of the things I think that's happening in the U.S. now, like the situation that we just experienced in Las Vegas, has left PTSD for a lot of people who weren't necessarily even in the military. So I think our level of awareness as a society about the impacts of these traumatic events on individuals does make us more mindful as we progress through our days and through our work about these things that really have significant impact on us. And there's a lot more, I think, willingness today than there has been in the past to really pay appropriate attention and not see it as all negative or from fearful eyes, but also see that there's a pathway to a brighter future for everybody if you can help the individual along that pathway properly.
No, you're exactly right. The stigma of behavioral health as it existed in the military culture only a decade or so ago was that you kept things quiet, that real service members, real soldiers, if you will, didn't express that weakness. Remember what I said about humility and weakness?
Yes.
Humility and weakness are antonyms. They're not synonyms. They're polar opposites. And it wasn't until many of the senior folks in the military came forward themselves then we embraced a different culture of supporting people with depression or PTSD or anxiety. And again, it's about helping people be their whole, full self.
Exactly.
And do you know what the number one cure for PTSD above and beyond treatment and therapy? Do you know what that is, Nina?
No, what is it?
Purposeful employment.
Oh, yeah.
Purposeful employment. Having the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Well, and there's the answer to the question. We just need to help connect them with purposeful employment, huh? So, very sadly, this hour went very, very quickly. And again, I can't thank you enough, Andrew, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us. But in our wrap-up here, are there some things that you would like to share as key takeaways for our listeners?
Yeah, and first of all, my first key takeaway is that on this Veterans Day and 364 days a year, I'm humbled by just the people who the human resources people are that I see, that I touch base with, both literally. If I hadn't spent that 10 minutes with you at annual conference, Nina, I wouldn't be talking to your audience today, and I'm just in such appreciation of all that you do and everybody else. The other thing I would leave your listeners with today and everybody with is that when Peyton Manning retired from the NFL, somebody asked him, what is the thing he's going to miss the most? Is it the accolades? Is it the 65,000 fans? Is it the ability to win Super Bowls? And he said none of it. It's the huddle. And in many cases, that's very analogous to what service members miss. They miss the huddle. They miss the camaraderie, the shared sense of meeting an objective and accomplishing a mission. But having said all that, we all can create huddles within our organizations around our everyday mission, around things, around service projects, around opportunities to be out in the community. So never lose sight of the fact that you as an HR practitioner can help recreate that huddle, that sense of purpose for a service member as they try to move on to their next mission. And then that thing, more than anything else, more than skill sets or anything else, is what's most important to remember.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Andrew. And that's a perfect way to say thank you to our entire veteran community. Thank you for your service. And you are listening to WSRadio.com, the world leader in Internet talk. And this is Nina Woodard, your host.
Join culinary masters and legendary winemakers for one of the largest Epicurean celebrations, the 14th annual San Diego Bay Wine and Food Festival. From November 12th through the 19th, this week-long extravaganza features celebrity and local chefs, 200 amazing wineries, 70 of San Diego's best restaurants, and it's a week of citywide events. Go to vinvillage.com to save big on select tickets. For event and hotel packages, visit SanDiegoWineClassic.com. That's SanDiegoWineClassic.com.
A podcast or radio show on WS Radio is a great way to create content marketing. Turn prospects into customers into raving fans. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO. Education, industry experts, back to the basics. Is your company using the Internet of Things to its fullest potential? Enlist the Peggy Smedley Institute and its team of experts to create a customized plan for how to apply the IoT to your specific needs. Learn everything you need to know to achieve tangible business outcomes in today's digital economy. Contact us at 630-933-0844. That's 630-933-0844 or visit learnitit.com.
I have some good news for a change. With the stressful times upon us, having a regular glass of wine has proved in many studies to reduce stress. Want some more stress-relieving tips? VinVillage.com is an exciting new social organization connecting wine lovers around the country with an exclusive local and online wine lifestyle experience. Vin Village members can meet others online and in person, attend wine dinners and tastings, participate in forums, blogs, and wikis, purchase limited and exclusive wines, even create your own wine. You heard me. Create your own wine. And best yet, membership is free. So reduce some of the stress and have some fun. Join now and connect with thousands of other like-minded wine lovers. To learn more, go to vinvillage.com. That's www.vinvillage.com. Vin Village is where wine lovers connect.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, vinvillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com, on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.